So back in November, Donald Trump truthed out this image of great presidents with him next to FDR talking about the 50-year mortgage. And when I saw it, I genuinely thought I was like seeing into the Matrix. Like everything suddenly lined up, like I knew why this idea got floated to him, and immediately I knew why he was going to be in favor of it. Now, if you looked into this even a little bit, you know this is a pretty silly idea. You can buy a home at 30 years old and then pay it off by the time you're 80, or I guess if you live that long, or maybe your kids will pay it off. I don't know. I don't think I really got to dive into the math of this, but you would barely save any money even if you were to get a 50-year mortgage. The interest rate would likely be higher, and you're basically just in debt to the bank forever. If you bought a car recently, you know that auto loans have been doing a pretty similar thing for years now. They call it extend and pretend. Just stretch the loan terms out longer and longer and longer, and the payments will get smaller, even though it might drive the Ford F-150 to cost $100,000 like a starter home. But the fact that it's a dumb idea is not really like the interesting part. What's interesting about it is what it reveals about Trump's stance on housing and the system that we're all living in. And by the way, yes, today we are talking about Trump. And if just hearing that I'm going to be criticizing Donald Trump today is already making you upset, please just write fake news in the comment of this video and then be on your way. Because today we're going to get actually real about this. So here's the epiphany that I had when I saw the 50-year mortgage idea. There's a term that's been floating around in the finance, business, real estate world for a while now, and that's the K-shaped economy. For a long time, we've been talking about the economy like it was just one thing, right? It's a good time to buy, it's a bad time to buy. Strong job market or a weak job market. Line goes up, line goes down. But in a K-shaped economy, there's two realities that exist at the same time. If you already own assets like homes or stocks or businesses, you're doing great. Your net worth went up. Your mortgage is locked in. Inflation barely touched you unless you're talking about consumer goods like Pokemon cards or packs of Zyn or whatever. But if you don't already own assets, rent is getting more expensive. It's harder and harder to save up for a down payment. And every single year you're told the same thing. Oh, just be patient. The economy will change, and then someday you'll have a seat at the table to be able to afford to buy a house. But in short, the K means that there's an economy for people that own things, and there's a separate economy for people that don't. And that big difference there in the K is what's explaining a lot of what we're seeing from the Trump administration and housing policy at large right now. Now think about this for a second, as if you're Donald Trump and the Trump administration, right? You really have two separate groups of people, and they need totally different things. On one side, you have renters and non-owners saying, please, Donald Trump, make homes affordable again. And on the other side, you have homeowners and asset owners saying, hey, Trump, make our values of our houses go up, big dog. So who do you think he's going to listen to? Let's read the tea leaves for a second, okay? Do you remember when a group of the world's richest people sat front row at Trump's inauguration? Do you think that they have opinions on whether their assets should go up in price or down in price? How about the richest human on planet Earth? Do you remember when he was like Trump's best friend for like months and he had like an actual government efficiency thing going on? And they were really good friends until he said that Trump was in the Epstein files and then he didn't get his EV tax credit thing extended? What? Let me ask you this. Do you think that the people closest to Trump in his circle own homes? Maybe a lot of homes? Do you think that Trump himself owns a lot of homes? Which side of the K-shaped economy do you think that they're on? And so this is why I'm making the video today. He basically just outright said it.
Now, if I want to really crush the housing market, I could do that so fast and people could buy houses, but you would destroy a lot of people that already have houses. I am very protective of people that already own a house, of which we have millions and millions and millions. And because we have had such a good run, the house values have gone up tremendously. And these people have become wealthy. They weren't wealthy. They become wealthy because of their house. Every time you make it more and more and more affordable for somebody to buy a house cheaply, you're actually hurting the value of those houses, obviously, because the one thing works in tandem with the other. And I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the value of people that own a house who, for the first time in their lives, are walking around the streets of whatever city they're in, very proud that their house is worth $500,000, $600,000, $700,000.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, oh, he didn't really mean all that, or he didn't really say that the way he really wanted to. It's Trump. You never know, right? But then he doubled down.
Existing housing, people that own their homes, we're going to keep them wealthy. We're going to keep those prices up. We're not going to destroy the value of their homes so that somebody that didn't work very hard can buy a home. We're going to make it easier to buy. We're We're going to get interest rates down, but I want to protect the people that for the first time in their lives feel good about themselves. They feel like they've, that they're wealthy people. And I want them to understand it. There's so much talk about, we're going to drive housing prices down. I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people that own their homes. And they can be assured that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, so I don't really like to speculate about a lot of things, but that he just point blank said it. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing anything to make home prices go down. So that's basically what he said. There was also this funny clip about mom and pop landlords. So let's take a look at this quick.
We are going to give guidance at some point to see what is a mom and pop. Someone, maybe your parents for their retirement, about 5, 10, 12 homes. So we don't want to push the mom and pops out. We just want to push everyone else out.
So that's Scott Besson, and what he was talking about there, he's the Treasury Secretary. What he was talking about there is that they're trying to ban institutional investing and allow mom and pop investing to continue. Of course, saying that there's a mom and pop out there that owns 12 houses is kind of funny. I think of like Superman's parents in the field owning 12 houses or something. Like that's a mom and pop is doing a lot of work there. I do take their point, though, that there's a big difference between owning 10 houses and being like a super conglomerate owning 150 homes. But the important part of all those clips is this. It's very clear which side of the aisle the Trump administration is taking. The side with the people that already own property. Also, quick side note, big institutional investors only own 3% of the homes in circulation. They're a very convenient scapegoat. They're big and they're scary and they're rich and all that stuff, but they are not why prices exploded. Prices exploded because our government has openly said and signaled that they want home prices to continue going up. I mean, I don't know how to get more obvious than what we just saw.
Drive housing prices up for people that own their homes.
But here's part 2 of why the 50-year mortgage is so interesting to me. And by the way, I don't remember if I said this, but I don't think they're actually going to do a 50-year mortgage, but just the idea is very interesting. There is a loud, massive, frustrated portion of the country saying, I can't afford a home. I can't. I'm never going to be able to afford a home. And they're not wrong. It is hard out here. So Trump and his administration float some ideas, right? They float a 50-year mortgage. They float blocking investors, even though they know they make up 3% of the homes that are purchased right now. And then they're pressuring Jerome Powell and the Fed to cut interest rates. And I don't know if you noticed something about all 3 of those ideas, but none of them are going to continue to have home prices falling. And I say continue falling because prices have been not appreciating as much, and we've seen a lot of price cuts recently. Like I know Zach is the master of cope, right? But I really do believe that prices have been evening out and coming down a little bit and not going up as fast. But so the Trump administration's stance is the easiest way to make people that don't own a home feel better while still protecting asset values and allowing everyone's home prices to still go to the moon is to cut interest rates. Governments have done this over and over and over again. Lower rates mean lower monthly payments on paper. It makes the economy look strong, and presidents get a whole bunch of credit. But that solution always comes with a cost. People love blaming today's housing prices on Joe Biden specifically. And by the way, I'm not a Joe Biden fan. But let's just do a quick rewind, a little history lesson, okay? Who was the president during COVID when interest rates were slashed the last time? That was the beginning of COVID. You know what I'm getting at. It was Trump last time. And to be fair, this was a bipartisan thing. Almost everyone at the time supported it, including me. I don't think it was I think it was better than crashing the housing market. But let's not pretend that that isn't why home prices went to where they are today. Let me be super, super clear. Cutting interest rates and printing money is exactly how we got here today with the same president like 5 years ago. Here's the part that most people miss. Lower interest rates do not create affordable housing. They create higher prices with temporarily lower payments. But sellers will raise prices, builders will raise prices, investors will pile in and buy all the inventory up. 6 to 12 months later, though, prices are much higher and rates will creep back up over time as well. And then affordability is worse than when we started. That whole process is inflation. That's what that is. What we're describing is more inflation. And here's the funny part about inflation. Inflation mostly benefits the ultra wealthy, the ones that own assets. Quick story. So when tariffs initially started hitting, and Nintendo and Sony were talking about raising their console prices, I was talking to some buddies of mine about it. They were talking about raising their consoles like $50, $100 or something in the States. And one of my buddies on the call said, "Oh heck yeah, now my PlayStation's worth more." And I started dying laughing because that's exactly it, right? If you already own something, if you own the thing that's going up in value, inflation feels great. But if you don't already own a PlayStation, inflation makes it feel more impossible to get in the game. And in this case, literally get in the video game. That's what cutting rates is going to do to housing. Again, the Trump has been pressuring Jerome Powell, our Fed chair, for years, calling him Too Late Powell, which honestly is not his best nickname. Presidents don't technically control the Fed, but they absolutely pressure them publicly and privately. They've been. I think they threatened a lawsuit against them or something too. And markets listen to that. Powell has been holding the line through a rough economy, but he's on his way out. And rates will almost certainly get cut by the next guy, which, by the way, Trump appointed Jerome Powell, by the way. I don't know. People don't remember that. When that happens, things will feel more affordable. Briefly, like very briefly, until prices catch up, because they always do. They did during COVID too. So Zach, that is a lot of criticism, right? But what's your better idea? You're not gonna like it. You see, I am somewhat of a free market capitalist. I don't love the government pulling every single lever they can find at every single time of the day. And honestly, no one's gonna want to hear this, but it's the truth if you look into the numbers. What we've been doing the last few years has been working. Slowly, but surely. Prices are easing. They're not going up nearly as fast as when 2020, right? Prices have been easing. They've been slowing down. If you go on your Zillow app right now, you're going to see a lot of price cut homes. Demand is cooling. Rates are slowly coming back down. I think I saw some 4-point somethings for the first time very recently, because eventually sellers have to meet buyers where their wallets are, right? They have to. You can't sell things that people can't afford forever. They just sit there collecting dust like Cybertrucks. And I'm a Tesla fan, but the Cybertrucks are just sitting there. If we aggressively cut rates again, we're just going to replay 2020. Feels amazing at first, prices will jump, then inflation will catch up to us, and then rates will rise again. And then housing will be even further and further and further out of reach. That's the cycle. That's the cycle. Unless we stop trying to cheat the cycle. And the K-shaped economy will only get worse. I wish I had a better way to end this video, but I just really want to give everyone kind of a warning about what I've been seeing recently. A lot of very mask-off statements that you typically would not hear from an administration that are directly affecting housing, right here in Central PA. So I just want everyone to get a PSA about it. Go ahead, flame me in the comments if you disagree. I feel like I've given a good bit of evidence today. But yeah, if you want to talk to me about buying your first house before all of this kind of happens, let me know. Send me a DM, call me, whatever. Love to help any of you guys that need it. Zach is helpful. See ya.